me, how's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. Podcast on Swim Magazine describes as the one that initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists. Line fans cover the creative workflow of other famous musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are also sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 for your entire build code CVPod at darkfusionsystems.com. Links are in the description of the podcast below. We are also the number 19 ranked metal podcast for recordamillionpodcast.com. Yeah, 19. That means we got 18 more spots to go. Let's climb it. Let's make it happen because I really don't want to stop. So let's keep going. To our featured presentation, we're going to Canada for some great modern metal. We have Molly from the band Living Dead Girl with us today. Her brand new album, the band's brand new album, Conspiracy, comes out on October 10th. We only talk about how Octane has helped out the band, how some U.S. radio stations are playing the band more, but why is radio failing on this, and why isn't Canada playing this stuff too? They're Canadian anyway. We also dive deep into the album Conspiracy with its darker tone, why it was written with a much darker feel to it, and the expanding idea behind that, along with, there's a specific song on here that we both think is the best song on the album, and it's not even released yet. Get ready for it. You guys ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. We've been doing this for, I think, 6.5 years now, just trying to find some of the best artists out there that you need to know about. And if you don't know about them, okay, I don't blame you. Sometimes it's hard to find new artists, but this is why you're here. You're here to find great new artists that you may have never found out about before. And we've got one here for you right now. If you love modern metal music, if you love things that are going to pull in so many different ideas, so many different styles to be put into a modern metal sound, and have a vocalist that can bring out some of those angelic cleans, but also sound ferociously intense with some of those uncleans that make you sit back and think, how the hell is that possible? Yeah, we have that for you today. The new album Conspiracy is coming out on October 10th. Please welcome Molly from Living Dead Girl to the podcast. So Molly, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on. How is everything going in your world right now as we're getting closer and closer to album release day?
It's busy, but it's very exciting.
Say busy. So what's all been going on with it being so busy? Of course, it's assumed that it's going to be busy. You're releasing new music out in the world, and you want to make sure that this album absolutely kills it. But what's all been going on in that time frame?
So we're an independent band, and we're very DIY, especially for me, of all the members. I'm very hands-on in everything. So it's a lot of like creating social media posts and having the meetings with the manager, the PR people, everyone, making sure we're all on the same page. You know, just getting everything ready for this album. It's a lot of hands-on stuff for me, but it's also a lot of creative stuff. Like we're putting together new music videos, new photo shoots, lots of new content to put out there. And then, you know, doing podcasts and radio interviews. So pretty much every single day of my life is dedicated to Living Dead Girl at this point.
But the crazy thing is, wouldn't you want your life to be dedicated to Living Dead Girl every step of the way at this point? Think back to when, you know, you were a kid and you were just striving to have something remotely close to this or anything that had a semblance of a music career. Look at where you are now. So having that, I'll say, like, being able to reflect back on that, it's like, it makes it seem like, it doesn't make it seem like you're as busy because you're doing everything that you want to do in order to be able to do the things that you love to do.
Yeah, it's like busy, but it's good busy because it's like, this is the stuff I want to be spending my time doing.
Yeah, it's much better than spending your time, you know, sitting at a 9-to-5 job just waiting for the clock to run out so you can quickly rush home and then do whatever responsibilities you have and then try and do as much music stuff as possible until you are forced to basically fall asleep because you have to go to work the next day.
Exactly.
Yeah, I kind of got that going on right now. So I'm a little envious at the moment, Molly. I'm not going to lie.
Sorry.
It happens. It is what it is. And of course, continuing on with this, one thing I noticed specifically, especially going through not only music, but going through what Living Dead Girl has done and going through where you've been able to take the band. I mean, I'm seeing different festivals pop up that you've been played, like Rockfest and Upheaval. Reason I bring those up is because those are two festivals I've absolutely attended in the past. I'm not sure if I attended the years you were there, but it's like I'm seeing more and more of the name Living Dead Girl start to pop up in places that, honestly, that name should be popping up and should be playing. I'm seeing it start to pop up on some tour posters. So I'm like, okay, now we're seeing some more of this stuff. I'm glad that it's happening because now with the brand new album coming out, 2026 is going to be bound to be the year we're going to see Living Dead Girl plastered over every single tour poster because, come on, you can't keep this music down. You can't keep it from, you know, public I would say viewing, but more like public experience.
Yeah, that's exactly what's starting to happen. Is it's starting to like pop up. Like, we've gotten Sirius XM Octane's played 3 of our singles so far. It'll be 4 as of tonight, actually. They're playing our new one tonight. More festivals, more things like that. So it's like finally starting to see like the years of work paying off this year.
Well, shoot, what's the new one they're releasing at this? Well, we're recording this, of course, for the episode or for the album comes out. But what's the new one they're releasing tonight?
So tonight they're playing "We'll All Be Dead" on Sirius XM Octane.
Okay, makes sense. I wanted to make sure, and I asked about it because I'm like, okay, looking through the list, I always want to make sure I have like the singles marked for a very specific reason, which we'll always come to later in the show. But I just always make sure I have them marked due to the fact that, well, they're the singles. If we want to talk about them, we can dive deep into them. But if you're getting a lot of love on Sirius and they're playing, all the singles that you have coming out there, that shows a lot of promise. I've seen so many bands that have started like to get more traction on Octane, and it's kind of can be a slow roll at times, but once that traction starts picking up, that's where those tours start coming in. That's where the festivals start coming in, and that's where more and more notoriety comes to the band, and that's where the growth can really happen. And with the amount of work you're putting in, I mean, you're doing it on your side, and you're going to continue to do the work on your side. Now it's everybody else that has to do their part, but everything seems to be really flowing at this moment.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing actually to see how much Sirius XM Octane has actually helped us. Like the last single that they played of ours, Poison Me, in July, Jose, the host, like shouted out the shows that we had coming up. And we had people come to that show that night that it played in South Bend, Indiana. We had like a group of guys show up and they were like, we came tonight because we heard it on Octane today. So like, it's crazy to see like, not just like, okay, people have like shown up and become fans because of it, but like that quickly too, like that day.
That speaks to, well, not only the power of Octane, but there's not going to be a reason for people to hear a song on Octane and go and see an artist perform live that night if they have the chance, if the song doesn't absolutely kick ass and hit them in a certain way that makes them want to do that. It entices them to go and see this band play live. So when they heard Poison Me and they just said, yeah, we got to go see this band play live, that means that the substance is there. That's always the key when it comes to art. The substance is definitely there then.
Yeah, like they heard it. It was played at 6 p.m. and then the show was at like 8 or 9. So like those people made a decision immediately. They dropped what they were doing and they came to see us. Like it is crazy how many like dedicated music fans you can get through being played on Octane.
And what's even beyond that too is you think about radio the way it is today. I mean, beyond Octane, if you go back to like classic, FM radio, I've pitched to multiple different radio stations saying, hey, you guys are not playing anything new, anything that's actually gaining traction. You're playing Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses once every half hour. Give me like a 2-3 hour spot where I'm just going to play all the stuff that you should be playing that's going to bring in a brand new audience. Every time I got rejected. Every single time. But I get a chance to do it here. But you can see the power that it has where if you're going to end up playing that kind of music, you have the ability to not only drive people to the new artists, but you have an ability to help make those new artists get to the point where they're going to be on regular rotation for every single DJ on your station over the course of 24 hours in a day. Like you have the ability to help out with that. Why wouldn't you take that instead of playing the same stuff you've been playing since 1985?
Yeah, there's definitely like some radio stations that don't want stuff that's super heavy, but a lot of them will have like a 1 hour a day or like a little feature time where they do play stuff. Like we've had some that have played us where they are like, from this time to this time every day we play the really heavy stuff, or we play the more gothic stuff, or we play new stuff. So like we've gotten like a lot of love from radio and like those kind of shows as well.
So that's why I wanted an hour, because I'm like, okay, give me a couple hours, because it's like, all right, what am I going to put in here? Oh, there's a new From Ashes to New single out. Yeah, I'm going to put this in here. Oh, We Came as Romans dropped a new album, and this song is the best one on there. Yeah, I'm going to put that in there. I've just found out about this band, Living Dead Girl, and a great single just dropped. Yeah, I'm going to make sure it gets in there. There's a band you've never heard about from Chicago, Illinois, that just absolutely rips and just needs that one moment of spark. You know what? Maybe your first ever discovery of them is right here, but you're going to remember that you found them right here. Why wouldn't someone take that risk?
Right? Yeah. It's like, it's honestly not even a risk. It's like, if the material's good, then what do you got to lose?
The material's good. And then imagine you being the place that is always bringing in these great artists, these great newer artists to be able to sponsor their shows that are coming through. And then you're able to help get them to bigger spots, bigger venues. And then, oh, lo and behold, they're coming through your town and you get to end up interviewing them on the show. Oh, dear Lord, what a terrible thing.
Right.
I mean, I'm just pushing for it at this point, especially here in the U.S. Because again, where I live right now, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing just like, especially on the radio side of things, unless you're listening to like Octane or unless you're streaming it yourself, you're never gonna find anything new.
Really?
It's really tough.
I feel like we get so much radio play in the U.S.
I guess it depends upon where you're getting radio play in the U.S. though.
Yeah, maybe like certain cities, certain states, radio stations, like not every single radio station, but like Poison Me's been like playing on a lot of radio stations in the US. Canada, I think it's been played on like 4 or 5, but the US it's like charting.
Okay, so whatever stations are picking up in the US, keep doing that, keep going for it, because where I live right now in the city of Milwaukee, yeah, it's the Welcome to the Jungle station. That's pretty much all we got.
We get played in Wisconsin.
You might be getting played on like JJO in Madison or 91 Will Rock down a little bit further south than I am, because those two are doing a really good job with it. But again, biggest city in the state, nothing.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, it must just be other cities.
Yeah, so I will absolutely shout out those two stations though, because I didn't even reach out to those to like say, hey, we should probably try this. So I'm like, you're not going to take my suggestion. You already did. Like, you're already doing it yourself. You're doing fine.
Yeah,
keep
they're
going.
already killing it.
Keep going. But then again, why isn't Canada doing the same thing? I mean, is it somewhere like they see the U.S. is picking up on it? It's like, oh, we have to do the opposite? Or are they just not taking into account? Because they should be with how good the music actually is.
I feel like the rock stations here aren't quite as like heavy as like the US ones. Like when I'm in Canada and we listen to the rock stations, it's very much like softer rock.
Interesting. I wouldn't have necessarily guessed that, just given how many of these different artists I've had from Canada, and typically they're always on like the heavier side. But then again, I kind of just geared towards that myself anyway.
Yeah.
But still, there's plenty of other artists that are out there. It's like, why wouldn't you essentially strive towards it? Maybe add to it. If you set yourself up in such a small box sonically, especially as a music publication, you're not going to have the chance to really grow further and expand on what your offering actually is. And you're not going to give a chance to some of these great artists, especially in your own country, that are making great music and getting more and more people to know about them. I mean, you can get people to hear about you in Vancouver, or Calgary, or Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto, Montreal, all over the place. There's many just hotbeds that you could find and put Living Dead Girl on the radio, and boom, you're going to end up getting a lot of good publicity off of that because the sound is so good. Why wouldn't you do something like that? Why wouldn't you follow Octane's example on this, guys? Come on.
Yeah, like Octane plays like such a perfect mixture of like everything, you know, like they do play like some of the older stuff that people like expect to hear, but they also play a lot of new stuff, and a lot of like newer artists you might not have heard of get to be played on Octane. So yeah, it's a good place to discover new stuff.
So should I start pitching to Canadian radio stations? Like, can you guys just give me a couple hours and just hope for the best? And then next thing you know, alrighty, here's my first day, my first hour, the first song. This is, we'll go with Poison Me by Living Dead Girl. Boom.
Do it.
You should. I definitely should. It'd be the way to go. But of course, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your music and the brand new album Conspiracy coming out on October 10th. Now, when it came to really diving into this album and creating this album, what was the mindset for this, and what was that process like? Because every artist has a different idea when it comes to creating an album, different inspirations, and of course, a different process.
So with this album, I really wanted to stay true to Living Dead Girl's like signature sound, if that's what you want to call it. Like the formula of, you know, like heavy verses, heavy riffs, but then like still that sing-along catchy chorus. So I wanted it to still obviously stick to the band sound, but I did want like the tone and the messaging of this album to be a little more serious and a little more dark than Exorcism. So Exorcism's a little bit more playful, a little bit more fun. There is still some of that fun and some of that upbeat energy on Conspiracy, of course. But generally, I feel like the tone and the vibe of Conspiracy, like it's overall a bit darker. And that's just kind of where my headspace was at when I was making this album. Like the imagery, the theming, everything on this album is just a little bit more mature and dark than my first release.
That kind of makes sense, though, especially being able to listen through the whole thing prior to bringing you on the podcast. every song had a little bit of a different type of darkness to it. Now, because I'm looking through, like, there's an aggressiveness to the darkness. There's a sinister feel to the darkness. So at some point in time, there's a groove to the darkness that I wasn't expecting. But you do follow along pretty consistently with, you're bringing it heavy in the verses. In the chorus, there's going to be more of a clean contrast to add to it, to add maybe a little more anthemic, grander, more exposed kind of style that allows the heaviness to stand out just on its own in that contrasting space. But being able to bring in different ideas and different influence throughout the whole entire thing adds an overall expanded world to the darkness that doesn't stay in just a very specific niche of the Gothic aesthetic.
Yeah. Okay, you nailed that.
Well, I haven't been doing this for
You just described my album better than I could.
I haven't been doing this for 6.5 years and learned nothing. Like, I'm going to dive deep into these songs, dive deep into the album and really see it. And when we talk about the single specifically, it's like there are some that really do stand out. Like when it came to Poison Me, yeah, I can see a lot of that flow coming through when it comes to the Gothic aesthetic. It reminded me a lot of In This Moment, but with a much more dynamic flow. And within this one, I always find it centered to be around Maria Brink all the time, especially with a lot of their newer stuff. With this, it had that dynamic flow and actually had a much more diverse range from the backing to where your vocals were going. And it all worked out so you could really see that idea fleshing out. But then we go to a different single, which was Ugly. And right away with a heavier guitar tone, I'm like, is this some like Knocked Loose inspired distortion here? What the heck is going on? So we went from like this Gothic darkness to this absolutely aggressive darkness, but the vocals and the way that the overall construction of the songs built around it, it made a complete feel of a different idea around darkness. It really worked out in those different ideas.
Yeah, it's like we like to play with like different types of metal, different influence of metal, different flavors basically. It's like I don't like every single song to follow the exact same style, but like there's kind of like a formula, like like okay, this part I'm going to scream, this part I'm going to sing, this part needs to be catchy, this part needs to be heavy. Like, I kind of just follow, like, a very, like, loose structure and then just, like, see what happens.
But that's how you're supposed to do it. If you have a loose structure, at least you have an idea that you can move within that and you can really expand further on, that you can push the boundaries beyond what you think is possible. And by bringing in different ideas and different influences, even that structure can be moved around to have different pieces. You might at a point in time just like, hey, we can go with this chorus and go a lot heavier on it because it fits the aesthetic of the song. So you're letting the songs, in a sense, dictate themselves as you write them. You're not putting so much pressure on keeping them in a specific way, because if you're like, okay, I like this riff and I like this part of the song. Okay, how can we mesh these two together? And they're not working out together. By forcing them together, you might come up with a rather, incoherent type song from a sonic perspective. But if you just let things flow like this from a musical standpoint and just see what comes up with it, that's where you get everything to come through more naturally like it did on this album.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, there is a question I always love asking, and it revolves around the entirety of the album, but there's a couple of songs I have to remove from it. I'm going to specifically remove the singles from this because, of course, at the point in time of releasing the album, everyone's going to have heard the singles. But all the songs are going to be out on release day, people haven't heard yet. But I'm not going to ask you what your favorite song is because that just doesn't seem right. You put your heart and soul in this stuff, so we have to ask it in a different way. Out of the songs that have not been released and are going to be released on release day, which is the one song you are most excited for people to hear and why?
I would probably say Succubus, because that song, I feel like it's like some of my best vocals I've ever recorded. I feel like just like the mood of it is just so cool. Like that's, I don't know, that's just a very sexy, fun song. And it might be the song I'm the most proud of all of Living Dead Girls' discography.
I gotta say, there are times when I ask that question, almost every single time, an artist will say a song and I'm like, nice. I got a different opinion on that, but you picked a good one. In my mind, don't get me wrong. This is the time where I'm like, I was hoping you'd pick Succubus and you did. And I'm like, yep. When I heard that one, that was the one that really stood out the most on the entire record.
Really? Okay, that's interesting to hear because, like, I think my whole band and I agree with that.
It kind of takes that, like, it had like that sinister feel to the darkness, but it was a sinister, seductive feel overall. Like the song is completely seducing you throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, it's got a very like Nine Inch Nails in this moment kind of hybrid in the influence.
Yeah, I kind of looked at it like just with a very similar, like little bit of like an Ice Nine Kills feel at the end of the intro too, to kind of just send you into the song. And I'm like, this is interesting. It gives you a completely different feel to it. But when it has that seductive, like, again, Nine Inch Nails is a perfect way to put it in, mixing with an in this moment influence, but really bringing out where your vocals are able to go. It's just the way that it flows. It fits for that overall. I think I even put it down, especially for the verses, like a droning seduction. Like it's something that just is constantly there. It's constantly happening, but it's something that you just are not willing to stop. You're just kind of letting that take forward so that when the end of the song hits, you absolutely feel like it hits you hard and hits you like a ton of bricks to the face, basically.
That song, I feel like that's a very powerful song. Like that one gives me goosebumps when I listen to it.
I wouldn't be surprised. And just to kind of wrap that whole entire song up in a bow, because I always like to put an overall in the song, and I always like to share them too, because it kind of fits, and I think it fits for this one. I thought for Succubus, overall, the sinister, seductive lead-in from the verse to the intense scathing anthemic sound in the chorus makes this song really feel like you were being seduced by a succubus and then just left to rot in the end. What stands out
to rot. That's a good way to put it.
What stands out the most in my mind is how the intro perfectly sets us up for this with a sample being used. It provides us with like an Ice Nine Kills style lead, but it sets the tone so well for the song. Just absolutely well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people didn't like realize this who I've shown the song to so far, but the intro voice speaking is Jordan, our bassist. Like even like our other band members couldn't tell it was Jordan.
Really?
I'm like, he has like a perfect customer service voice. How did you not know that was Jordan?
Your call is very important to us. Please stay on the line.
That's literally what his voice sounds like. So I was like, we have to use him. He's so like articulate.
Articulate, but at the same time, it kind of adds to a completely different feel through the song. And especially for me, I mean, this is coming right off of, what was I listening to when I was going through this? It was ridiculous. It felt like, for me, especially through that intro, because there's like some like changing radio at the beginning, it felt like the song Nothing Left to Lose by Woe Is Me. And I love that song. So it completely just sets this like distorted feel of you're not necessarily sure what's going on, but that's like what a succubus will do. You're not sure what's going on. They just show up and it's like you're kind of with the lore, you're entrenched in it. You're entranced with it. The seductive part of it is just taking you in. And then by the end of it, you're just, as a guy, you're just left to rot and your head's probably bitten off by whatever just took you for the wildest ride of your life.
Yes.
So I absolutely hope that when it comes time for this film to be out and for this, everybody to hear this, not only is everybody in this, but this absolutely makes it in the set list for every show going forward. I feel like it has to at this point.
I want to do that song live very badly.
I feel like that's the one that when it comes to a live performance, it's going to be something that every single show, it doesn't matter what artist people go and see on that bill, but when they leave, that's the one that they're going to remember the most.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fair judgment of that song.
I think it fits. Are there any other songs that'll be released on release that you're excited for people to hear as well? Just because it's very rare that I find one that like the artist and I are like, yep, this is it. This is the one.
I feel like Conspiracy, the title track, is like an important song. Like it wasn't giving me the vibe of a single, so we didn't decide to make it a single. But it's a very like important title track, I feel like. Like that song really, it's the first song of the album and it has like the really dramatic intro. It really sets the tone of the whole album. And I just feel like it's a very like dramatic song for us. So that song I'm excited to see the response to.
I'm a little interested to see that one too, because it does have that dramatic feel to it, especially with the chorus with the more anthemic melodic style of metalcore. It allows that grander feel of emotion really come in. So that stands out especially, but it's just like there's a specific type of programming in there that distorts it especially in the intro. It distorts the riff to give it more of like this cyber feel. So it's like you're kind of getting like some of that cyberpunk style in there too. So especially from that, I'm like, okay, now we're getting a completely different type of distortion that also adds to the overall darkness aesthetic of the album. So when it comes to that being the title track, but not only the first track on the record, what you're setting this up for overall is just an experience of going through that type of darkness, but being in a distorted mindset in completely different ways. So you're going to have that seductive feel, you're going to have the cyber feel, you're going to have something that's going to be more aggressive, something that's going to be more sultry at times. It's going to go through many different facets of the entire idea. Whatever conspiracy you were contriving when you created this record, it just worked.
Thank you.
Like, I had to throw the name of the album in there at some point, because if I didn't just throw it in there for the fun of it, I'd be missing out, honestly.
And it's a very fitting title for this collection of songs, I feel like.
It does fit. It fits really well overall, because it seems like something's coming to get you. Like, you're going through that darkness. It feels like something's conspiring against you, or something's conspiring to kind of try and take you down in a way. But throughout going through the album, and then you get to song number 11, Survival Mode, it's like, alrighty, you went through the darkness, you got through all this stuff, and you just see that name, Survival Mode. It's like, okay, how are you going to keep going? How are you going to make sure that this darkness doesn't become the thing that overtakes you in the end? Become the thing that you end up just living in and never escaping because you feel like you can't get out. Like, what are you going to do?
I love ending an album on a soft note. Like, I love just like doing banger after banger, heavy song, high energy song, and then just ending with a slower song. So like Exorcism ended with a ballad, or pretty much our only ballad, Stronger. And I didn't want to do like another full-blown ballad on this album, because I feel like once you have a song like that, you can't really perform it live, so it's kind of a useless throwaway song in a way, for live at least. So I wanted to do a song that had kind of that ballad feeling, but you know, was still guitar heavy and everything, so we can still throw it into our set list wherever it fits.
So it's kind of like less ballady, but more of a melodic anthem in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of like a rock ballad. Like, it's not piano and like violins or anything. It's more like guitar ballad.
Yeah, because if it was something where it was full on piano, violins, strings type ballad, it'd be like you'd have to bring on like an orchestra just to really complete the aesthetic in order to make that song be able to be as powerful as it normally is live. And not only that, but then when it comes to making sure that the energy is still in the show, if people see a whole entire orchestra going out there to perform a ballad, it's like, okay, we're entrenched in this. But if all of a sudden it's like the massive soft spot in the set and it's just everything's going well and boom, now here's the program of the piano and the vocals, there's a good amount of times it just doesn't fit. So it makes a lot of sense to kind of add more of an anthemic idea to it and a rock driven theme to it, so that when you want to put it in the set list, you absolutely can.
Yeah, that's like, we've never played Stronger live. It's a lot of fan favorite songs. So like so many people have told us that's their favorite song. So I feel badly that we've never done it. But it just doesn't like fit. It's like maybe if we were playing like a much bigger show and everybody knew the words to it and everyone was going to pull out a lighter, it could fit. But like when you're playing in like a smaller venue and maybe there's a lot of people in the audience that have never heard of us before and we're kind of trying to win them over, if you will, it's like, I'm not going to introduce you with a slow song.
That makes sense. That's just the intelligence of being an artist and a performer at that point, to recognize that and understand what you need to do in order to make the live experience the best as possible for the audience. Not necessarily what songs you want to sing the most, but what's going to make the experience for that live audience that night have the best time.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like knowing the time and place for each song.
Oh, that's so much of a big battle, because I've seen artists, I've seen shows where, you know, songs and just their placements on a set list, it can completely ruin it, or it can or even just like placements of the order of how people go on. It can essentially ruin a set just based on how it is. I've seen wacky ones too that absolutely make it even better. You never know, but there's always going to be that innate, like, you got to try something, but you also have to be aware that it might not work.
Yeah, there's definitely like an art to making the set list or the track list.
There's a huge art behind it. Well, with Conspiracy coming out on October 10th, again, I'm constantly dropping the name of the album, constantly dropping the date that it comes out, so that if you're listening to the episode, again, Spotify, Apple Podcast, you'll know it. If you're watching on YouTube, you already know what day is coming out. It's on the banner below you right here. But when the album comes out, still got a couple months left of 2025. Then we got a big 2026 coming up. what's coming up for Living Dead Girl, what you got working so that, this can be as big as it should be.
Oh, we can't share too much about 2026 just yet, but as of right now, I can plug, we've got some shows in September, if this is coming out before September. If not, then that's okay. We've got 2 shows in September, and we've got our album release party October 10th. The day the album comes out, we are playing a show in Orlando, Florida. So we're going to be playing a really special set list. Speaking of set lists, we're playing a very different set list to celebrate this album release. So we're really putting our focus in that one big show and making it as special of a party as we can. And we're working on new music videos, all kinds of new stuff.
Lots of new stuff, but when it comes to shows, I know you can't share anything, but I'm more curious about what's going to happen in 2026, because once this album gets out there, and I know you're doing whatever you can, I know you're going to be making the right moves, especially as an independent artist, to make sure as many people get to know about this. You're being played on Octane. You're going to have more songs that played on Octane. I'm almost dead certain that when Succubus comes out, you got to push that one to Octane, especially being the month of October. That's going to be on regular rotation throughout the rest of the month. It has to be. If it's not, we're going to have to make a couple of different calls to people and tell them we're going to have a problem. There's one there's one Octane DJ I might have to drive to and be like, hey, can you help me out here? I got a band perfect for this month. They got a brand new album coming out and you got to play it now.
I'm expecting big things from that single. I think that song's the song.
It better be the song. Otherwise, if it's not, something went wrong. But not on your end. Someone wrong on other people's end. Fuck, that gives me a wacky. It's a great idea, but it's also a terrible idea at the same time. The day the album releases, one of my friends who I always go to Louder Than Life with him, he's getting married that day. After a wedding reception, would it be a great idea or would it be an absolutely terrible idea if I'm like, yeah, play this new song that just came out, guys? Don't worry about the title at all. It doesn't mean that, but just play it. It's good. I know a couple people would laugh, but I might get kicked out of that wedding, and then, that'd be kind of bad.
We played metal music at our wedding. You can do whatever you want nowadays. I feel like there's no rules.
I feel like there's no rules, but at the same time, I don't know how certain people would take to a song called Succubus being played at a wedding.
Fair.
That's mostly where I'm coming with that. Well, Molly, before we wrap this episode up, there's one question I love to ask every single artist at the end of the episode. It's a way for us as music lovers to get to know more new music and for you as a musician to share the music you love. I'm going to limit it to 3 because otherwise we'll be here the entire day. And I know you got other interviews you got to do after this. So right now, can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would love to see more people get into right now?
More up-and-coming bands or bigger bands?
I usually go for the up-and-coming bands because I want to give them some love and get more people into them. That's kind of why the whole podcast was created in the first place, to get people to know more great new music, and that just adds to it.
All right, well, my 3 favorite up-and-coming bands, I would say Phantom Limbs from Orlando, Florida. They're amazing. Dancing with Ghosts from Jacksonville, Florida. We played with them a bunch of times. Incredible live show. And Werewolves from West Palm Beach, Florida. Another phenomenal live show. All 3 of those bands should be on everyone's radar.
I've only ever heard of one of those bands before, and they have made it to the podcast. This had to be back in 2021, maybe 2022 with Werewolves.
Okay, cool. Okay.
And I'm trying. I think it was Brian from Fame on Fire was the one that actually was like, "Hey, go check him out." When I had him on there, he's like, I think it was the guy at the time. The guy was cutting his hair or something. I'm like, okay, let's just make that happen. That's a great way to get more people into great new music. Just tell people about it, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'll go check it out. And then they end up on your radar. They end up on your podcast. They end up on your playlist. And 4 years later, you're still listening to them because it was just that good of a time and just that good of a sound. So when it comes to Living Dead Girl, it's just that good of a sound. It's just that good of an experience. So make sure you go listen to the album when it comes out. Make sure you listen to the singles that they're out right now, because if you're not doing that, we're gonna have problems, everybody. We're gonna be putting out posts out there why are you not doing this? It makes no sense. Can't help it. I'm just going to be too ridiculous with that. But Molly, I want to thank you for taking the time today being on the podcast. It's been a great time having you. I want to close out this episode with 3 things. So first things first, this is Molly from Living Dead Girl. The brand new album Conspiracy is coming out on October 10th. And if you weren't hyped up to hear it now, well, here is what you need to do. You need to go to Script to the Podcast where it says Find Living Dead Girl online. There'll be links down there for where you can find the album, pre-save it. If it's out by the time you watch this, stream it, listen to it, get into it. There'll also be links where you can find the band on social media and where you can find them going out and playing shows, especially once 2026 hits, because I want to go see them play live. You want to go see them play live. But remember, they're an independent band. So what's another great way to support an independent band? Yeah, go pick up some merch. Go buy some stuff. That link is in there as well. So buy stuff because I said so. Hey, a Living Dead Girl shirt or, a vinyl album makes a great Christmas gift towards the end of the year. So, hey, why not? Not a bad idea. Now it's time for number 2. Molly, whenever guests on the podcast, I enjoy the podcast, I tend to make a certain promise, a way to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, and I wish to continue to support the band in the future. Well, I've never had a chance to see you live yet, so I have to start this out by saying when, because it's going to happen. We just don't have a day or time yet. But when I get to see you perform live for the first time, hopefully in 2026, I will come and find you and I will come and say hello to you. But that's not really the promise. The promise is what happens after that is that first round's on me.
Sounds good.
And my wallet's going to hate me because of all the episodes I've been doing and making that promise for. But it's been 6.5 years. We keep doing it. We keep paying up on it. It's always a good time. Now it's time for number 3. I cannot end this episode by saying goodbye. It is way too final because, well, I made you a promise. This album kicks ass. I got to go see it live. And when more new music comes out, I want to make sure I get a chance to bring you back in the podcast, talk more about great new music from Living Dead Girl. So goodbye. That's too final. We'll end it by saying, I'll see you later.
Sounds good. See you later.
Woo! Well, folks, in my interview with Molly from Living Dead Girl, now it's time for Kevin's final thought. We're going to stick with the darkness aesthetic that's on this album because whenever I hear about the darkness aesthetic, whenever I hear about bands really going into that kind of style, I'm always interested in being like, where are you going to go with this? Because there's a lot of bands that want to do it, and they do it, and they stick in a very consistent box a lot of the time. When I listen to Living Dead Girl, I started out with the singles, Poison Me, We'll All Be Dead, and Ugly, and I'm like, there is something different here. You're seeing some of the darkness in more of like this like full-on outward express gothic style. Like in this moment, I saw some of this like Knocked Loose style intro guitar work that reminded me of this more aggressive darkness. I saw some stuff that was even more cyber driven. I'm like, this is interesting. So as we got to go through the album even more, I was enjoying it more and more because that idea and aesthetic of the darkness kept evolving and kept growing. The band's backing in terms of the instrumental backing on this really stood out in that regard to be able to go an overall flow with this. Molly's vocals, the harshness of the uncleans can stand out in that. The smoothness and the highs of the cleans can absolutely contrast against that and create a great sound. But when you get to this song number 5 with Succubus, oh my God, it's sultry, it's seductive, it's sexy, it's dark. And like I said, it's going to lure you with seductiveness. And by the end of the song, you're going to be there with your head ripped off. Like it's honestly one of the best songs I've heard all year. This is nuts. I'm a huge fan of it. And I want you guys to check out Living Dead Girl and support a great artist here as well. I want to thank Molly for being on the podcast today. When it comes to supporting Living Dead Girl, go to Script the Podcast. We'll link levels for everything for you can find them on social media, or you can find them playing live, where you can go listen to Conspiracy and the entire album, along with, again, they're an independent band. I'm putting their merch link down there as well, like I always do. But please go buy a shirt. Please go support them so that when 2026 comes, they can be that band that really, really makes it. Please also follow us in the Chord Progression Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, links below. Hit the subscribe button right down here if you want to make sure you are getting all the great new music coming your way and discovering many more great artists right now. Please also, if you're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, hit that subscribe and follow button, but hit the like button too, because on these episodes, helps pushing the algorithm, get more people to know about the great music that's coming out in the heavy scene. Ooh, yeah. So thank you. Thank you again. And that's going to be me. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin. And you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes. Big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah!